What happened while we were away, brought to you by...
We're on the brink of a recession. It's another once-in-a-lifetime financial event. The handful of old people who control our economy crunched some numbers wrong.
Yeah, about that.
I really doubt that we're going to see an inflationary cycle.
Most economic analysts believe that it will have a temporary or transitory impact.
The faster than expected increase in some of those prices is actually a good sign.
The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. No one's talking about this great,
This is something that will settle down.
Transitory.
What you just heard is a montage of Democrat officials, including Joe Biden and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, among others, last year downplaying and poo-pooing the notion of runaway inflation. Now it's June of 2022, and the May inflation numbers are out, and it's a doozy. Year-over-year inflation is up a full percent from the month before at 8.6%, the highest level since 1981. Republican puke Elise Stefanik, fresh off of voting to send $40 billion to Ukraine, had this to say.
We can hold this administration accountable. We also have the power of the purse. That means reining in this reckless spending. That means passing a balanced budget. And it also means making sure that we have fiscal and monetary policy that's focused on, again, ramping down this historic inflation. Year
over year, the price of fuel oil is up over 100%. Gas is up nearly 50%. Utilities are up 30%. Groceries are up 10%. It's not all bad news in the economy, however, as companies continue to find new ways to innovate. Take food delivery service Postmates, for example, who introduced a new marketing campaign recently, how to avoid defecating on another man's phallus while getting sodomized.
What are you eating, Miss Pride? Well, if you're a top, it seems like you can eat whatever you want. But if you're a bottom, you're expected to starve? Not this pride. Introducing the bottom-friendly menu from Postmates. We teamed up with Dr. Evan Goldstein from Bespoke Surgical to bring you a menu of bottom-friendly foods backed by science. There's no right or wrong way to bottom. But if you're planning on getting peachy this pride, the bottom-friendly menu on Postmates has the kinds of foods that could keep you feeling good.
Fox News, yes, Fox News went full groomer on Friday.
Rylan Whittington, whose journey of transitioning at age 5 has been seen by 7 million people in a family YouTube video. Brian Yannis has the story about that family that hopes their experience can help others. Watch here.
If you saw me walking down the street, you wouldn't think anything different.
14-year-old Rylan Whittington is a typical Southern California teenager. And the Whittingtons, along with mom Hillary, dad Jeff, and sister Brinley, are a typical family. The only difference, though, in Rylan's eyes, is what this family can mean to the tens of thousands of kids under 18 who identify as transgender.
Yes, Fox News aired a glowing 4-minute segment about a Southern California family's coddling of their daughter's mental illness. Groomer update, this is a family-friendly, all-ages drag event in Austin, Texas that went down over the weekend. This photo was taken at a so-called family-friendly drag show in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. In Washington, D.C., a man with artificially enlarged bare breasts twerked and danced in front of small children. At an event in L.A., a drag queen offered lube to a crowd of children attending a pride parade there. In Des Moines, Iowa, a family-friendly, all-ages drag brunch featured children dressing up in drag, performing and collecting dollar bills from the audience. Now, I understand the last few minutes might have been a little distressing, but I bring you glad tidings of great joy. Voting Republican in November will save us all. And if the Republicans don't save us, the Second Amendment will. In completely unrelated news, 10 Senate Republicans have announced they're supporting a new bill that would enhance background checks for gun buyers under the age of 21 and would incentivize states to implement red flag laws. And finally, Romans 1. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of the people who suppress the truth by their wickedness, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over to the sinful desires of their hearts and sexual impurity for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Because of this, God gave them over to their shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They're full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. Happy Monday, and that's what happened while we were away.